I greet you, all of my friends, by saying good day. And it is a good day. Actually, every day is a good day. But for me, especially today, is a very good day. Although I've just begun it, the anticipation of what I am going to be doing today has my adrenaline flowing already this morning, waking up with it flowing. Yesterday, I spent several hours preparing the response to the court over the recent judge's ruling. And last night, I talked in the group about the sovereignty movement worldwide, exercising personal sovereignty, and gave a demonstration of what personal sovereignty is all about. And I even announced on Facebook what the topic was today: exercising sovereignty. It's really, really, really important for us to get that sovereignty is our natural right. It's not something that is awarded to us by some authority external to ourself. I cannot give you sovereignty. You have to give it to yourself. You have to recognize that you already have it, that it's yours. Nobody gave it to you. Nobody can take it away from you. But you can acquiesce and not exercise your personal sovereignty. I have been learning to exercise my personal sovereignty for some time, and this lawsuit situation and the attempt by the bank to take away my home yet another time, the judge's ruling giving them permission to auction my home in June, sell it out from under me as if I had no recall, no remedy. I went back and I looked at all the documentation, well, not all of it, but much of the documentation that I have filed over the past 2 to 2.5 years. My God, I have established before the world, before the court, before the government of the United States, I have established my sovereignty. I have established it legally and lawfully. And as I read over what they have acquiesced by not responding to my affidavits, by not answering me in any way, shape, or form. Now, they've answered me in the respect of we don't care what you've written. We don't care what the law is. We don't care. We're going to go ahead and we're going to attempt to take your home away from you. And the bank's lawyer has been threatening to do that the entire time. Now, an interesting thing is I did not check my mail the last couple of days until yesterday. Yesterday was the first time this week that I've even looked at my mail. And there, at the bottom of the stack that was in my mailbox, was a letter from the Shriners lawyer. And there was also, they had also had a motion before the court for last Wednesday, the same as the bank's lawyer had. And the judgment for the Shriners was that they took away the fact that I was trustee and appointed another trustee, and basically said that I had no right to even create the original mortgage, which would have made it null and void. If I had no right, then it didn't exist. Although in the ruling for the bank, they gave the bank permission to use a copy of the original promissory note as if it was an original, which is totally unlawful, totally fraudulent. But the two judgments that the judge made in the same day seemed to me to contradict each other. One said that I did not have the right to create the mortgage, and the other said that the bank had the right to take my home, sort of as punishment because I did something that I wasn't supposed to do exactly the way that I was supposed to do it according to their rules. But they also took away the trustee thing, which I had given up being a trustee on that matter a long time ago. Because they did not allow me to be the trustee. I mean, they were telling me I was not fulfilling my fiduciary responsibility, but the reason I wasn't fulfilling it is because of the lawsuit. I was attempting and making every honest effort to totally fulfill my fiduciary responsibility, but every time I turned around, the lawsuit prevented me from doing what I needed to do. That is, sell the property. That used to be Mary Horgan's home and estate on Merritt Island. In any case, reading over the material, as I said, I was feeling more and more and more empowered as I not only read over the material, but prepared my written response, which I will be sharing tomorrow. It has not been filed with the court yet. It has not been submitted to the parties involved, but I will be submitting it not only to the parties involved, but also to the law enforcement authorities here in Brevard County. Everyone needs to know that the sovereignty movement is alive and well. This is something that is spreading worldwide. I applaud people worldwide that are involved in standing in their own power. And when you exercise personal sovereignty, I want you to get that this is about spiritual awakening. It's nothing less than a total renaissance of the human soul and the human spirit that has been pushed down and acquiesced in its own authority and its own power for a very long time. And the awakening is a spiritual phenomenon. It's something that is happening around the world in the hearts of men and women everywhere as the flame of freedom burns ever more brightly. We have the opportunity, and people like me are serving notice on the courts. People like those in England that are going and arresting the judges and serving the judges notice. Yes, it's not all sticking yet, but it will stick. In the United States, we have the Republic movement, and yes, it's still not totally cohesive in all of its aspects, but we have it there. We have reseated citizens' grand juries, which have authority to bring justice. It is a recourse that we have, and I actually talked about that in my response to the courts, because we have recourse now in going to citizens' grand juries, which are a fourth branch of government that gives us the power to exercise our sovereignty and to get remedy from the existing courts, from the banks, from the government officials. We have the power to do that if we exercise it. But how do we exercise our sovereignty? Calmly. And I'm feeling anything but calm. As I said, the adrenaline is running. And I'm feeling the excitement in my body, in my flesh. But I realize as well, and here's where the calmness comes in, most judges, most lawyers, most bankers, most government officials really don't know the big picture. They really do not see even the game that they're playing. I'm convinced that many of them do not understand the level of fraud that they have been committing. Some do, but many, I'm convinced, do not. And there are, as I've always said, there are good lawyers, there are good judges, there are good politicians, there are good bankers, there are honest people of integrity in these positions that it's for them, it's just a job, and they really, as I said, they really do not see how all the dots are connected and how the game has been being played, and the seriousness, and in another respect, the laughableness of this game, of how the people have allowed themselves to be defrauded and how they have been the agents of fraud. It's been going on around the world. The Uniform Commercial Code, folks, is in every country. It's in every country. And one of the reasons the Muslim countries are being so attacked in Western media is because of the fact that in many Muslim countries, they don't want to adhere to the financial rules of the Uniform Commercial Code. They want to, the Muslims that is, want to set up, in some cases, in some governments, they want to set up Islamic or Sharia law, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I'm not 100% sure. Where interest is not allowed. In fact, interest is not allowed even biblically. So the whole Judeo-Christian Islamic foundation does not allow for the charging of interest in paying off debts. But everything is in a state of change as we exercise our personal sovereignty, as we draw the line and tell the government, look, we're not after you individually, we're not trying to hurt you as human beings, but you need to understand what the system is that you're playing in. You need to understand the rules of the game. And there are laws. This is the beautiful thing of this. There are laws that have been established, and they have used those laws against us. But now we can use the same laws to free ourselves. This is the beauty of exercising sovereignty. This is the power of exercising sovereignty. The law is neutral. They have made it not neutral. They have made it apply only to them, and they have conveniently changed some of the rules when they realized that the people were waking up, as they did and as they are doing with the banks. They've made rules that allow themselves to use copies of promissory notes, which are negotiable instruments, even though the law plainly says that negotiable instruments a copy cannot be used when the promissory note is a negotiable instrument, or when the note is a negotiable instrument. And yet they have circumvented that by putting another law overlaying the basic principles. But they cannot get away with this as we, the people, exercise our sovereignty and stand up and say no to the law enforcement and the code enforcement officials. Say no. Hold people to their oaths of office. Here in the United States, that's the way it's done, and I'm pretty sure that's done in every Commonwealth nation. And there are remedies, I'm sure, although I don't know what they all are, in Latin America and Africa and in other countries around the world, in Asia, places where there is not the underlying Commonwealth principle, but the Commonwealth principle is innate to humanity. We share a common wealth. It belongs to all of us, not 13 families, not a handful of international bankers that said, we're going to take control of this for our own benefit. We're going to become wealthy at everyone else's expense. Those are the people that I've been talking about earlier in the week leading up to this point. The light workers on the dark side, recognizing that the Illuminati has played a role in the awakening. I have been leading up to this point because it's all about exercising personal, individual sovereignty and reformatting local governments to deal with the big government that wants to rule over everything. The local government is where all the power is. It's where everything happens. It doesn't have to happen in Washington, D.C., or the City of London, or the Vatican, or these city-states that have taken control of the whole world. It doesn't have to happen in those places. We, the people, we, the natural human beings, are awakening and making declarations. We don't avoid. We don't deny. We don't turn away from, because that will allow the system to go on as it has gone on. We must stand in personal power. We must take back that which was taken from us through our own ignorance and our own unwillingness to take responsibility for our own lives living here now. So again, this is an exciting day for me. And in a sense, a part of me feels sad for the lawyer that represents the bank, because she's going to end up getting nothing. Getting nothing. The ruling for the Shriners didn't give the bank anything from the other estate. Nothing. Nothing. Anyway, I leave you with this morning, and I thank you for listening. Tomorrow, as I said, I will be dealing with my actual affidavit. I may not read the entire thing, but it will be posted on my website so that anybody that wants to read it will be able to do so. But you'll hear how someone who is a sovereign responds to a state that is out of control. I'm going to leave you with that for today. Namaste. And again, good day. God bless you. Thank you for listening.